Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This cloth and stuffing commentator thinks it is time for us to ponder the real thoughts, schemes, and aspirations of what is called the Democratic political organization within the United States, though the use of that particular word is most certainly a misnomer for them to be hiding behind at the present time. What are their overall plans, schemes, and future vision for this once great nation? Why do they accuse everyone else of high crimes and treasons that they themselves are actually committing? How can we even try to make logical sense of the events we see unfolding before our most bewildered eyes? Tell me, why would a supposedly upstanding political organization want to falsely accuse, slander, impeach, prosecute, and otherwise allow all sorts of illegal immigrants to freely trample upon American soil with zero repercussions whatsoever? Oh, I forgot to mention also to make multiple attempts on the life of their political rival. Standard Hugo Chavez tactics. Think, my friends, and think some more. This puppet has done exactly that, and the following is my understanding of what we have seen and where we are potentially headed. Why would Felon Joe and his hitman Alejandro Mayorkas allow the southern U.S. border to be wide open for almost 4 straight years now, and multiple millions of illegal immigrants to flood in? What could possibly be their motivation to ignore U.S. immigration laws? Let us consider that Gavin Newsom recently signed into California state law that no localities within the state can require voter ID in order for people to cast their votes in November. If that does not have massive potential fraud written all over it, then nothing does. Think about this, my viewers. When these illegals come here, they are immediately handed free housing, food, medical care, and multi-thousand-dollar preloaded debit cards. If by chance you could go to the California voting locations or whichever state that does not require voter ID in November, not present any proof that you're a legal U.S. citizen, and cast a vote for the party that just recently made your life 1,000% better than it was before, might you be inclined to do just that? Yes. In a bit of fairness to California, 14 other states at the time of the making of this video also do not require any ID whatsoever in order to cast a ballot in their general elections. Suffice it to say that all of these 15 states, California included, that do not require any voter ID are a majority Democrat when it comes to elections. Who would have thought? Does anyone remember when Barry Soetoro made the executive decision to load the Minneapolis metropolitan area chock full of Somalian immigrants? Yep. Now, does anyone know who currently represents that district in the U.S. House of Representatives? Why, that would be none other than chief Muslim and documented American hater Ilhan Omar. Sheer coincidence? No. Anyone else under the sound of my voice know who the other Muslim and American hater is in the U.S. House of Representatives? That would be Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. Is it merely by chance or outright coincidence that she is in office after years of dropping Muslim immigrants directly into the Dearborn, Michigan area? No. Anyone has heard in the past few months of the mass Haitian drops into Springfield, Ohio and Logansport, Indiana? My guess would be that you most likely know about the first, but not the last. Why would an acting American president directly send dedicated aircraft to the island nation of Haiti and fly them into Atlanta International Airport for redistribution to Midwestern American smaller towns? Towns that up to that point had next to no residents of Afro-Caribbean ancestry. I think we are all familiar with a legal practice called gerrymandering, a means whereby congressional districts are effectively redefined and redrawn after each U.S. Census results have been tabulated. Geographic regions that have gained substantial amounts of new residents gain congressional seats, and those that have lost substantial amounts of residents end up losing congressional seats. The U.S. House of Representatives is made up of a set amount of members, currently set at 435. So hypothetically speaking, if a certain political organization were to become frustrated with their inability to historically win elections in certain geographic regions, and the once-per-decade U.S. Census results were not affecting any changes in voter demographics within said districts, what other alternative exists for them to get their political way? Oh, by redefining said demographics through the practice of illegal immigrant drops in massive numbers into those districts they loathe. This is not rocket science, my viewers. It does not pass the smell test. Look around, viewers. What do you see? You will see the Democrats stealing political influence through hook or by crook and by whatever means they deem necessary. Stealing elections? Perfectly acceptable. Stealing red states by dropping off hundreds of thousands of, quote, refugees, all with free housing and $5,000 Visa debit cards in hand? Yep, go for it. Now, the results from those illegal immigrant drop operations might not be felt in the here and now because those are into red states that have the common sense and decency enough to require a photo voter ID. But they will prove beneficial to Felon Joe and Kamala's fellow goons in elections to come after those become legal U.S. citizens and after the next U.S. Census, and hence gerrymandering take place. Can anyone say, welcome to the next voodoo religion Haiti U.S. congressional representative? The stories of them eating cats, dogs, and local geese from city parks were not fake, as the filthy ABC debate moderators claimed. No, those of voodoo belief systems eat animals to gain spiritual powers from them. Folks, this is carefully concocted recipe card being acted out by the Biden-Harris cartel. Make no mistake about it. The very future of our nation is at stake here. Then there is the other part of the Democrat cartel's endgame. Get Trump. Why are they so aggressive and adamant to take this man down by any means, be it legal or illegal, and in practice it has mostly been the latter? One can look at the delusional few and guess, but I have really come to this after some careful thought and consideration. The Democratic crime machine are seasoned professionals, and scheming is baked into their DNA. As such, they know fully well who their captive audience historically has been and presently is. Folks, you're looking at a large group of people living under a certain form of delusional mental illness not seen before in the history of this nation. Ever heard of group psychosis? I think the term is applicable here, to a lesser degree in Kamala, Joe, Nancy, Adam Shifty, and the upper echelons of their cartel, and to a much higher degree in the everyday commoners. These are people who most likely saw part of an episode of The Apprentice once many years ago, heard from a friend that Trump once made a mean tweet, and that he grabbed a woman by her private parts, and decided in their minds that he was somehow Satan incarnate. So the criminals at the top of the Democratic mafia took advantage of their fears and anxiety, along with the fact that many of them are trapped, and ran with it. By trapped, I mean that many of these are urban dwellers of lesser financial means, often not even able to afford basic internet service, and only allowed to watch the free propaganda TV networks for all of their, quote, news. These people are trapped in that they cannot research truth on their own due to the lack of internet service, and rely on the propaganda sources for their daily dose of, quote, truth. This is akin to taking advantage of the mentally retarded in all actuality, but the Democrats have no decency about them. In fact, I would say that probably a large percentage of the 100% loyal Democrat voters are most likely of lower intelligence levels and not free thinkers in the slightest. Whatever Joe, Nancy, Kamala, or Barry says must be true. Do not question it. If the upper leaders of these say Orange Man bad, then that settles it. Orange Man bad. Now, the Get Trump game involves saying he is Hitler at any and every opportunity, all while coming on national TV and saying, quote, we denounce any violent attempts on the lives of the former president, unquote, after he was almost shot to death. Now, my loyal viewers, you cannot have it both ways. Either he is Hitler, or you denounce any violent attempts to take his life. No one, and I mean no one, would have denounced the killing of Adolf Hitler in the 1940s. In fact, it can be said that the theatrics and scripted lies of the Democratic cartel actually led to the attempts on Trump's life. If you're already a mentally imbalanced individual and you see and hear Trump is Hitler and Orange Man bad, then you might just as well be easily predisposed to planning an assassination attempt on the former president. The Democrats know fully well what they are doing, and if that bullet on July 13th had been a half inch in the other direction, they would all be breaking open the champagne bottles by now. Folks, evil is evil and a spade is a spade. You didn't turn into this puppet for anything less than the truth, did you? Lastly, it needs to be mentioned that the crime cartel's main motivation is to serve their masters. Yes, I'm talking about their corporate overlords. You see, Trump is a serious threat to their power structure and its current stranglehold on the United States of America. They're losing their grip, and that grip must be maintained no matter the cost. These overlords fear that their gravy train could be running off the rails soon if Trump gets back into the Oval Office. They cannot have that. As such, Barry, Joe, Nancy, Kamala, etc., being their lapdogs, are going to bark as loud as they can and even bite when necessary. That is it, folks. I have now laid the Democratic crime cartel's endgame out before all of your eyes to see. Please vote wisely on November 5th. Good night and sleep well.